Because anytime we're in the place where God is, something just might happen. That's why you got to come. Paul told the church at Ephesus he can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we ask or even think. Now, you understand what he's saying. Now, above all that you ask, whatever you come up with or even think. And some of y'all think y'all some great thinkers. But whatever you come up with in your mind, God can do more than that. Whatever you think God can do, he can exceed what you're thinking. I heard something, and it's powerful as a believer, and I'm applying for me as a leader, that if you can think of one thing that's impossible, just know it's impossible to do or get done, but if it happens, it'll change everything. That's how I'm believing God from now on. I'm believing him for the impossible, that it just can't be done. But knowing God like we do, if it happens, it'll change everything in your ministry and in your life, because he's a God of the impossibility. With men, count it out, it's impossible. With God, all things are possible to them that believe. How many believers in here? Hebrews said if you come to him, you got to believe that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Because now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I like to pause on faith sometime, because we walk by faith and not by sight, and the just shall live by faith. Seeing then we are justified by our faith, because wasn't nothing else to justify you, because you messed up. You had to have faith to cause you to fall on the righteous side. For Abraham believed God, it was accounted unto him for righteousness. Couldn't have been his works, couldn't have been who he was, how he was born. We were born in sin and shaped in iniquity, and then sin that our mothers conceive us. In other words, when they were wrong, they just wrong. By one man's sin, Adam, sin passed upon us all. But by one man's death, Jesus Christ, we've got life. But knowing this, that the Lord himself hath fashioned this thing so that he brought to us, Jesus did, the ministry of reconciliation. We've been reconciled back into the power and the realm that God intended us to be. Man failed, but God has restored us through Jesus Christ. You ain't do nothing to earn what you got. The Lord just did it for you. Ain't no extra, ain't none of this, ain't no gold stars. The Lord just decided to bless us, for while we were yet sinners, Christ died for the ungodly. Not because you first loved him, but because he first loved us. So therefore, with love and kindness have I drawn thee. I've drawn you with my love and my kindness, not my hate and all the evil stuff, but I've drawn you with my love and my kindness. That's why the clarion call is, whosoever will, let him come. A lot of times folks want to get it together, then I'll be there. You can't get it together that much for the Lord to say, now you're ready. You got to come like you are. And God has a way of getting you straight while you're coming. And then when you walk with him, he'll fix your walk. He'll help you to make it. Quit trying to be all of that you think you ought to be, and let God work on you to be what he wants you to be. For it is God that worketh in us both to will and to do according to his good pleasure. And so Abraham believed God. It was counted to him for righteousness. And we are justified by our faith. That's all it is. You got to have faith in him to have some justification that he did what he did, because you believed in God. I'm here to tell you that God is still moving by his power and by his spirit. And I think when we come together, we ought to come with expectation, come believe in God, knowing that something just might happen, because he moves that way. God sometimes shows up. You ain't thinking about God. Your mind ain't on him. And the Lord will show up and touch you. Here just to let you know that he's still in the area. And anytime God touch you, you ought to tell him thank you. Anytime he do something for you, you ought to tell him thank you. You shouldn't go too long and ain't felt him. If he in you and you in him, you at least ought to feel him. I can't tell you how many times to feel him. I don't tell you how often to speak in tongue. That is not my job. But you ought to feel him every now and then. Don't be running around here, it's been a year and your hand ain't went up. It's been 2 years and you ain't shook your head, ain't said thank you. You need to find somewhere. If you can't get to the altar here, build you one in your house. They would build an altar. Get there and make yourself the sacrifice and tell God to help you, because I don't think you'd be going through here and don't feel you. If I can feel a headache, if I can feel stubbing my toe, if I can feel my feelings being hurt, if I can feel folks giving me the cold shoulder, I declare I want to feel God. Because every time you feel him, it does something for you. For even folk that don't know him declared in the book of Acts, Paul said, even your own poets write that in him we live, move, and have our being. As he stood on top of Mars Hill and declared to them the unknown God, because they were making inscriptions. And he said, I perceive you are too superstitious. Saints ain't superstitious. We trust and believe God. And you should talk about getting up out of the prayer, throwing salt over your shoulder, believing God, and then go grab a horseshoe. I understand you got favorite shoes, not your lucky shoes. You got your favorite hat. This is my lucky hat. No, you got to realize you're just blessed. God bless you. You might leave the hat at home, but God will still bless you. And when God bless you, he do something to you down with the core of your existence, deep down. He knows how to touch you where you don't want to be touched. God knows what he's doing, and then when he bless you, he don't hurt you. For the blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich and addeth no sorrow to it. I ain't going to preach long, but I do feel like preaching a little bit, just a little bit. Touch somebody and tell them the place is here. And here is the place. You don't know what God might do. He just might do something. I don't know. It's up to him. But you got to come hungry. You got to come with expectation. You got to come looking for God. You got to come and start some with God. Some of y'all were so bad with your bad self before you got saved. You just start stuff. Just start mess. Some of y'all in church still start mess and start stuff. But I'm here to tell you, you start stuff around God, God can straighten you out. Isn't you glad he's long-suffering? One of his attributes is long-suffering, because it's not his will that any should perish, but we all should come to repentance. Thank God for long-suffering. It ought to be one of the attributes of the believer. 9 fruit of the Spirit. One of them is long-suffering. Besides love, kindness, goodness, joy, those types of things we ought to have. But we ought to be able to get along because we can endure one another. We can get along with one another. We come to church, we ought to come looking for God to do something. It don't matter what the name of our churches is, where we come, we all inhale under the banner of who God is. Knowing this, that God is able to do what he said he would do. We come together expecting God to do something for us. Remember now, Abraham believed God. And the Bible said because he believed God, he just knew that God would do what he had promised. He promised Abraham at 75, your seed going to be blessed. 25 years went by before he actually had the seed between him and the promise, which was Sarah. Now, Abraham's seed was his seed right on, but the promise wasn't him and Hagar. The promise was between Abraham and Sarah. I'm here to tell you, sometimes your seed hangs on somebody else. Now, there's a place, I told them today at my church, there's an individual prosperity of seed sowing for you as an individual. You can sow and you will be blessed. But then there's a collective sowing of seed that God releases a prosperity collectively on all of us. And anytime you sow, God will do something. You just got to have a patience to learn how to wait on it. For whatsoever things you sow is coming back to you. That's why the Bible said, be not what weary in well doing, for in due season. I just want to know, anybody feel like they got a due season coming your way? If you feel like that, just testify and say, I got a due season coming. Now, don't say it's overdue, because God's got timing on your due. It's due time, and God's due. His due is due. His due is time, and his due, he's going to do it in his timing. And you can't hurry God and make God do something before he want to do it. And in between time, while it's happening, you just look like God ain't going to answer. But God said, I'm going to answer, but not yet, because I got some things I want to do. I got some things I want to set in place. And when I do it, it'll be right on time. And he's a God of timing. That's why waiting is important for the believer, because in between time, while God is taking time, you got to learn how to wait on him and be of good courage. David said, wait, I say, on the Lord. You got to take courage, because sometimes courage ain't coming. So you got to take courage, go get it and hold on to it. Bathe yourself in it, knowing this, in the face of courage. Courage will cause you to stand in the midst of fear. When it look like it's about to drown you, your courage will become your anchor to cause you to rise above the waves of distress and defeat. Because I'm here to tell you, when we believe God, you can't walk in defeat, you only walk in victory. I don't care what it looks like, you're a victorious walker, leaper. That's why sometimes you ought to feel like running through troops and leaping over a wall. Sometimes you ought to feel, I don't care what's going on, I'm still an overcomer. And some days, if y'all will believe me or not, maybe you do, some days I feel like I'm more than a conqueror through Jesus Christ that have loved me. That's why my mind is made up. Tap your neighbor, say, my mind is made up. You know what it's made of? I ain't going to let nothing separate me, Brother Johnson, neither height nor depth. Things past, things present, nor things to come. I told somebody somewhere I was preaching, now somewhere I said it. I told them it don't matter who shows up. I don't care if Venus nights and Martians and Plutons and Saturnites. I don't care who shows up, Jupiters. I don't care where they come from, Earthlings. I don't care where they come from beneath the earth. I don't care what they come up with, Frankenstein. I don't care who it is. Whatever they come up with, he said any other creature that's created, I don't care who you are, even if God made you, I ain't gonna let you separate me from the love of God which is in Christ Jesus. So then he says, what shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, he's more than the world against us. I'm here to tell you the devil is trying his best to unleash an attack on us to cause us to lose our hope, our joy, our mind, our strength, rob you of your testimony, make you feel like God don't care, he ain't counting you, everybody blessed but you, you the only one, ain't nothing gonna happen in your life, ain't nothing gonna turn around, you gonna fail, you're going under. But I stopped by to tell you God's got you covered. As bad as it is, it ain't over. As much of as you've been through, it ain't over. If you're still breathing, if you're still here, you got purpose. Hug yourself and say, I got purpose. I don't care who it look like they're in the limelight. Don't worry about it. I don't care whose picture on the poster. I don't care who got 3,000 friends and you can't get 3. Don't even worry about that. Know this, there's a friend in Jesus. And I'm here to tell you, as long as you got him for a friend, he's got you covered. He's better than a Facebook friend because he ain't going to tell your business. He's going to keep you covered. He ain't going to put it on blast. He ain't going to Twitter or Instagram. He's got you covered. And everything you need to know about me, he already wrote it and told you, I ain't going to leave you. I'm not going to forsake you, but lo, I'm with you always, even to the end of the world. I'm going to keep you covered. I got you covered. As a matter of fact, I've always put in a prayer for, if you read St. John 17. He said, not for these only, but those that shall come after them. That's us, y'all. I'm praying for them. Isn't there something know that the Lord prayed for you got here? And every time the Lord has prayed for you, don't you know God will answer the prayers of his son? And not only that, with your bad self, you can come boldly to the throne of grace, obtain mercy and find grace to help you in the time of need. And every now and then, as much as you can shout, dance, and pray, you need some help outside of yourself. It was Paul when he goes before King Agrippa and testifies and told King Agrippa, listen, they tried to kill me in the church. They talked about me. They plotted. Before church was over, they wanted to kill me. And the Lord blessed me and brought me out. He said, the only reason I'm here, Agrippa, is with the help of the Lord. I continue until this day. And I come to tell you, I don't care how much you do what you do. The only way you made it is that God has helped you. That's why you got to learn to look to the hills from whence cometh our help. Our help cometh from the, I got to talk about this place, don't I? Our help cometh from the Lord. Tell your neighbor, this is the place. Matter of fact, you know the old saying, right place at the right time. God knows what he's doing. We're not here by accident or incident. This ain't such a happenstance. But God has placed us here on tonight. He's placed us in this place right now because God got some things he wants to do. I don't believe we're leaving out here the same way we came. Well, I'm already good. You'll be gooder. I'm already bad. You'll be badder. Whatever the case is, God's going to do something. And we ought to believe that God can and God will. He can step into our midst now and shake this house and shake you in it. He can do what he want to do. He can turn the pews upside down. You don't even have to fall on the floor. I'm talking about what God can do. If he can give a donkey the ass vocal cords and talk to the prophet, if he can prepare a well and swallow a man whole, if he can do that, send fire to lick up water that Elijah told him that if he can do that, if he can send a wind and open up the Red Sea, if he can tell the preacher, prophesy to these dead, dry bones and send a wind, and it was a shaking going on in that place. Tell your neighbor, my bones ain't dry tonight. Oh yeah, their bones was dry and very dry. He can do it. He He can do anything. Sit on a circle of the earth. Can I keep talking to y'all? He knoweth everything. Every hair on your head, he knoweth it all together. Every word on your tongue, he knoweth it all together. He knows the stars by name. He causes the ram to skip among the mountaintops. I'm in the word, y'all. The Bible said the clouds are the dust of his feet. His ears are open to the cries of the righteous. All his attributes and his physicality can do things you can't do. Some of y'all got 20/20, don't need no glass. You done had laser surgery. You got your cataracts out. Some of y'all got help. It's all right to have help, but you can see everything is good. But can't nobody's eyesight do what God's eyesight do. God takes his eyesight. I just don't know how he do it. He don't unplug his eyeballs, but yet still his eyeballs have legs. For the Bible said they run to and fro. Not they run to and fro in the earth. And while they running, his eyes are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. As a matter of fact, his eyes are in this place, and he's already ran up and down the pews to determine what you want. He has a way of putting some type of thing on his physical attributes to cause it to make movement. But when Adam sinned in the garden, he took his voice and put legs on his voice, and the Bible said his voice came walking in the cool of the day. I'm going to tell you, anytime God go to walking and stop by where you are, something good's got to happen. He's a God that knows what you need and know how to deliver and knows how to bring you out. What God is looking for is some folk that's expecting him to do it. Some folk that ain't going to turn him loose. Tell your neighbor, I'm changing my name for a minute here. My name is Jacob. And the Bible said Jacob held on to the angel. When the angel said, look, you got to let me go. Because you understand, angels knew when roll call was. They would present themselves before God in the morning time. That's how come the devil knew to show up when he came to got Job. He knew what time roll call was. In other words, as much stuff as the devil did didn't cause God to change what he do. He still had roll call at the same time. Don't let the devil make you change up what you doing. He come to attack. I ain't gonna pray at 6. Maybe I tried 5. No, keep doing what you're doing. I'm here to tell you, Jacob held that angel and stuck there with him, and they wrestled. Hey, I got to go now, Jacob. Let me go. I got to go. I can't let you go. I got roll call. I'm going. No, I can't let you go until you bless my soul. I wish I had some folk in here go hold on to him tonight. You ought to let God know. So I'm gonna hold on to you tonight. Can't let him go until he does something for me. You know the story. He touched Jacob in the thigh, and his sinew and the muscle shrank. He got up delivered with a name change and a limp. And every time he would limp, he would remember he held on to God. Sometimes God let you hold on, but when he release you, there's some things he leave you with that you can't forget, that nobody did it but God. That's why you got a testimony to tell somebody, if God hadn't have done it, I wouldn't have made it. My testimony that God brought me through and brought me out. And while you're testifying, it's causing you to become a leaper and an overcomer. For Revelation said they overcame him, the devil, by the blood of the Lamb. I love the blood. Let me hear y'all say the blood. The blood. The blood of the Lamb and the words of their testimony. How many folk in here got a testimony? I'm talking about a real testimony. You've been hurt. You've been in a place where it looked like you wasn't going to get out. You've been through. Your heart been broken. Your mind been attacked. Things have happened in your home, in your family, in your marriage, on your job. I'm talking about been through some stuff. And here you are still here. You got a test. Didn't nobody do it but God. Didn't nobody bring you out but God. He kept you and he covered you. And when you didn't have sense enough to help yourself, you know what he did? He threw the shadow over you. And you were there resting under the shadow of the Almighty. When you got there, he told you, don't you worry about nothing. You ain't got to be afraid of the arrow that flies by day, nor the terror that cometh by night. I'm here to tell y'all, 1,000 can fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. The devil's trying his best to disrupt, to tear us down, to break us up, to make you give up on God, make some think God did you so wrong and God messed you up. It's God's fault. The devil is alive. If God did something to you, it was to make you better. If God let something come your way, it was to make you better. It didn't kill you, God kept you. He ain't gonna kill you. He ain't gonna turn you over to the enemy. He ain't gonna let the devil just have his way in you, but God's gonna keep you in the midst of the storm. Some of y'all been through some storms you ought to be through, done, over with, but God kept you. I keep telling folk, there's some stuff you've been through, you should have lost your mind. I know I got some witnesses in here. If you've been there, tell somebody, say, I should have lost my mind. But the only reason you got your mind, I got to tell y'all again, that while you was in your storm, God stuck his hand in your mind, took your mind and held it in his hand while you was in the storm. And when the storm was over, put your mind back between your ears. And all you do to have is a right to lift up holy hands. You still had a mind to praise him and to thank him. We come to a place we got to regenerate. We got to rejuvenate. We got to revive. We got to get excited. We got to pull ourselves together and say, I don't care what I've been through. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to hang in there. I'm going to stay with God. Victory is ours. God is on our side. He's got our back. And the devil's trying to take us out. But I ain't going to let the devil take me out like this. I ain't going out with my hands crossed and my legs crossed and my mouth zipped and my eyes hanging down. If I go out, y'all going to hear me. I'm kicking and screaming. And if I holler loud enough, guess what's going to happen? If I call him and call him right, he's going to step in right on time. He's going to bring me out. I feel God's going to do something here in this place. Why don't y'all talk back to me and say, in the place, in the place, in the place. Oh, God shows up. He shows up in designated places. You'd be surprised at some of his designated places. Here we are here at harvest time. It's tuned, it's built, it's ready. It's here, God's house. God shows up places because you must understand, before it was a stable church. Before, I'm not talking about stable, I'm talking about stabilized. A place where it's there. It's that foundational wise. I'm not talking about spiritual, because upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. But then back with Moses, they had tabernacles, and they would have to move the church. As they went, they took the church with them, and they were tabernacling across everywhere, but God was with them all the time. He can show up in some places you thought he wouldn't show up. They didn't think he was showing up on Mount Carmel when all them prophets of Baal and Jezebel got up there and called their God all day long. He didn't answer. They cut themselves with stone, and they still didn't answer. How in the world? I know God ain't showing up in this place, but on top of Mount Carmel, the preacher said, dig an altar around and fill it with water. Watch God show up in this place. When he called God, he came down with fire in the form of a tongue and licked up the water. I'm here to tell you, God will show up in some places you think he just wouldn't come. I'm here to tell you, Jeremiah threw down in the dungeon, in the muck and the mire, sinking down in all that mess. Nothing down there cold and dark and dim and wet and dirty and muddy. Guess who shows up? God shows up in the dungeon and say, I'm going to deliver you, Jeremiah. And guess what they did? The king came and said, bring him on out of there. They didn't get no new rope. They didn't get no ladders, but they got some old rotten rags and tied them together and let it down to Jeremiah, who put his arms on the old dirty rotten rags and came on out. I stopped by to tell you, when God bring you out, it might not be a clean thing, but as long as God bring you out, why don't you tell your neighbor, anyway he bless me, I'll be satisfied. And he showed up at the dungeon. He showed up down in the prison when Joseph was down there. Down there, he grew a beard so long, he was down there for 22 months. Almost 2 whole years he was there. But God showed up and worked with him and brought him out and brought him out and brought him up and brought him out. Not only that, Jonah prayed till he showed up in the belly of the whale and delivered him out of there. He showed up in the fiery furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in that place. Some of y'all know in some places it's been hot while you was in there, but I'm here to tell you the 4th man is with you, and the 4th one looks like the Son of God. He showed up in the place of the den of lions. After Daniel had prayed, God God showed up and caused Daniel to go to sleep. He didn't know no Ezekiel. He didn't need nothing to put him to sleep. He just rested in the Lord. And God brought him out of that place and gave him victory. Must I keep talking to y'all? He showed up down there in Philippi in the jailhouse when Paul and Silas was locked in jail. But at midnight they prayed and sang songs unto God, and God sent an earthquake, shook the place, and they showed up. Must I keep talking to y'all? He stopped by. Listen to this. He didn't go in the church. He stopped by outside the church. And Peter and John said, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have I give it unto thee. In the name of Jesus, rise up and walk. That man got out in that place and went into another place. When he got to that place, they wanted to kill him. How in the world are you walking in that name? He said, listen, I'm here to tell you they the one did it. And Paul them said, and Peter and John said, listen, in the name of Jesus. And they threatened them and said, if you preach anymore in that name, we're going to kill you. When they turned them loose, they went down to the house, and that's where we find our text. When they got to the house where the saints was at, when they got to the place where the saints were assembled, the Bible said they began to pray. And the text that we read said, and when they had prayed, tell your neighbor, it's over now. Tell them again, I know it's over now. For when they had prayed, the place where they were assembled was shaken. And I stopped by to tell y'all it's some stuff that's got to be rearranged. It's got to be agitated and shaken from its core. And when God shakes something, I don't care what it is, it's got to turn you loose. And the place was shaken. Not only that, they got a revival and a reviving, for they were all filled with the Holy Ghost all over again. And every now and then you need God to do it again. Why don't you wave your hand and say, Lord, do it again. Oh, he can do what he want to do. And we're not out here. We know the purpose of coming, but the reason we're here is because God is up to something. And the Lord would have me to tell you in this place, for such a time as this, something's got to happen for you and through you. Because when you leave this place, you're going back to your place, and things ain't going to be the same. Because in this place, God is getting ready to work. How many of y'all believe God's going to do something? How many of y'all believe God's going to move even now? The devil don't want you to believe it, but God would have me to tell you that eyes have not seen, nor have ears heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men what God has in store for them that love him. For Paul said, I reckon that the sufferings of this present time cannot be compared to what God has in store for me. I know some of y'all been through some stuff, but God said, I'm not done blessing you. I'm not through making ways and opening doors. This is your night, your turn, and your time. Because in this place in Harvard Time Worship Center here tonight, God is going to release something. I can feel the releasing in my spirit, and God is going to allow it to shoot through the atmosphere. He's going to allow it to come through. God has a way of doing things. He likes to create the atmosphere, for he actually does the natural work and the spiritual intel that God was saying it creates in the atmosphere. And I know I'm right about it, but when you read Acts chapter number 2, after they had stayed in the upper room, and God told them, Jesus said, stay there till you be endued with power that's coming from on high. They had been there and had rested there. After 40 days they came there. After 10 days they stayed there. They were in that place, and the Bible said while they were assembled together with one accord. You ought to grab your neighbor's hand and say, let's get with one accord, because God's getting ready to move in here, and I want God to move, and I don't want him to jump over me. I want God to hit me. I told him the day when I was preaching, the Chicago fire came, and they set a fire to Octafire to knock down the raging fire. But when they thought they had the fire, to check the raging fire, a wind came and picked the fire up and dropped it on the other side of the water. I stopped by to tell you there's a fire going on. God's going to send a wind. You don't want the fire to jump over you. That's why you got to grab your neighbor and say, if you get on fire, I got to catch on fire, because our God is a consuming fire. I wish y'all help me here. I feel God in the room. He's a God that can deliver. He's a God that can turn things around. He's a God that can work in you. He can satisfy your leaning. He can satisfy your leaning. As you lean on him, he'll make everything all right. Every now and then, before you see him work, you got to praise him in advance. Before you feel him work, you got to thank him before you see it. Before God steps in, you have to step up, because the Bible said if you draw nigh to him, he'll draw nigh to you. And when you and God get together, something's got to happen. He'll change the way you feel. He'll change your attitude. He'll change your thinking. Yes, God will. I feel a breakthrough coming. I feel God in the house. I'm about to be done preaching, but I feel his presence. God's going to do something. It's going to be monumental. It's going to be extraordinary. All you got to do is tell God, I'm in the right place. Something's got to happen. And I heard Joshua said, as for me and my place, I'm going to serve the Lord. You ought to tell God, I brought my place to your place. Now have your way in me. Shake me, Lord, and turn it around. Let me know you're here. I need you to answer. I need to feel you. I need your strength. I need you to lift me to encourage my heart. I've been through some stuff, but I need you right now to sustain me. I need you to cover me. I need you, God, in a time like this. I need your help. No other help I know but the help of God. I need him in this place. I feel God about to drop down in the place now. Are you ready for the power of God? Are you ready for God's presence? Are you ready? God, he's going to use you to shake somebody's place. Move out your seat. Go hug somebody and say, your place is getting ready to be shook. He's shaking your place. That's it. Go tell him. He's shaking the place. He's shaking in you. He's shaking your mind. He's shaking your spirit. He's shaking your will. He's shaking your health. He's shaking your anointing. He's shaking your strength. He's shaking your joy. He's shaking your sons. He's shaking your daughters. He's shaking your ministry. He's shaking you from the inside out. He's going to shake you till you get clarity. He's going to shake you till your hearing change. He's going to shake you till your hands go up. He's going to shake you till you feel like jumping and feel like running and feel like leaping. He's going to shake you till you go to praying. He's going to shake you till you go to singing. He's going to shake you until you turn for the better. He's going to shake you until your will get right. He's going to shake you until you know this, that he is God, and beside him there is none other. He's going to shake you till tears run down. But don't worry about the tears, because we've been made endure for a night, but joy. I said joy is coming in the morning. Why don't y'all help me preaching here so I can go to my seat, lift them hands, say it's my turn and it's my time. in my place right now. In this place, joy. In this place, deliverance. In this place, healing.